Hey guys, it's Dennis here with the Revog Games Podcast. I'm joined by
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa. Hopefully not lagging. My
uh,
internet's been my internet's been a bit iffy lately.
yeah. Yeah, we were gonna shoot last week, but our schedules didn't kind of match up. I was actually back home in the Bay Area, but I did bring my setup up. But yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't make that happen. But we're here today, and we're here to talk about the latest kind of gaming news. How you been?
I've been pretty good. All things considered, you know what I mean? Could be better, but doing good. Counting my blessings every day.
Yeah, I saw my parents for the first time in 2 years, I think it was. Now that they're vaccinated and I'm vaccinated, and I drove up to the Bay Area for about a week. Brought my whole setup because I still had to work, but it was nice to be able to see them when I wasn't working, having dinner with them and whatnot. So, yeah, things are like starting to get back to normal. I just went to a friend's housewarming. If people have been following me for a while, I went to John Campia's house. He had a housewarming with his wife Anne, and I got to see him and his wife and some other friends from the past. And yeah, when
You
you're
got
all
to experience some normality, Dennis.
yeah. I mean, that's what happens when you take the proper precautions and mask up for a while, and then get vaccinated, and everyone else is vaccinated, and you can kind of live your life. So, anyways, yeah. So there was some decently sized news. The first big news that I have here is, hold on for a second. The first big news I have is God of War Ragnarok being delayed to 2022. Big surprise.
You called it.
I mean, what have I been saying for anyone's been listening or watching our podcast? I've been saying this for the last several months. I'm like, I do not believe that God of War Ragnarok is coming out this year. There's no like Horizon for Forbidden West. They made sure to say, look, that is still on track, 2021, all good. They had that whole at the State of Play like live event streaming reveal, showed off the gameplay. We haven't seen anything from Ragnarok, not a screenshot. We've seen like the teaser thing, but the teaser thing is just like, the name or whatever. So it's no big deal. We just haven't gotten any more details. We talked about how it was kind of rumored that it was going to be PS5 only, and then if they were going to do that, they were going to lose out on some money. But apparently, the game is going to be on PS5 and PS4. They said the decision was they had started on this game a little bit later, and they wanted to ensure that it was the best game possible. Blah blah blah, the usual stuff that they say. But yeah, it makes sense. Why would they release God of War in this fall winter time of the end of the year, when even though the PS5 is doing great and it's breaking all records in terms of the pace of sales that it's doing, it still does not have the installed user base as the PS4. So you're cutting off a ton of money if you make it PS5 only, and also you're even limited on the stock. So as a system seller, it's hard because if there's not enough systems to sell, how are you making it a system seller? So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I managed to get some other news about the
Okay.
situation as well, which I'll dig into afterwards. But right off the bat, just from a general perspective, yeah, makes sense. I mean, considering we haven't like heard a thing about it until now, I mean, you called it a while ago, and I didn't want to believe you, Dennis, but like the more and more you said it, the more time went by, and the more you said it, I was like, you know what, you're right, Dennis. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna come out in 2021. Um, I know. Look, I think good for them. You know what I mean? Well, not good for them, but like, look, if the delay needs to happen, you know what I mean? Otherwise, they would have shown us something.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're not showing us anything means that the delay needs to happen. Um, I wonder if like it was just like misinformation, the whole not being on PS4 thing,
That
or
might
if
have been.
maybe they were doing that to like test out the waters, where they're like, hey, because think about it. The rumor came out before they officially announced the delay, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
could have been one of those things where they tested out the water, where it's like, hey, most likely the PS4 version would be the thing causing the delays as well in the future, as we've seen with Cyberpunk and other games where they are developing these next gen games and they're kind of struggling to like get them to run smoothly on previous
shoehorn them into
Exactly, yeah.
to previous consoles. Yeah.
So I see them doing that, which like I don't know, man. I'm like caught in a weird place about it because I'm glad it's going to be on the PS4 because I can play it. Because, well, maybe I'll have a PS5 by the time this game comes out. Maybe I won't, but I'm just glad that I now have the option to play it on the PS4 story-wise because I really want to know what happens story-wise. You know what I mean? Moving forward. But at the same time, I don't want to play like a game that's like not like like you know what I mean, that just wasn't meant to work on the PS4. So who knows whether they're backtracking, whether it was misinformation,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case is. Clearly, the fans were nobody was happy about that decision, so they decided, okay, PS4 version's coming out. They have to look. It's gonna make way more. They're gonna make more money as well, obviously, if they do that. So it was a no-brainer, you know. I'm just wondering if it was like I said, I'm wondering if it was just broken telephone
Mm-hmm.
or if it was them testing out the waters to see if they could get away with just doing a PS5 version.
I think it's more of the
Yeah.
latter. I think they were testing it out. I think they purposely
Mm.
leaked that rumor to see what the fan base would say and go.
Development would go a lot easier if they just had to worry about one console.
Yeah, I'm sure the
You know?
developers probably went up to the big wigs and were like, "Look, you want this out at the end of the year? It's PS5 only. You want it for on the PS4 as well? Then we got to
You
delay."
gotta wait a
And
year.
then
Yeah.
the big boys, the big execs were like, "Yeah, we'll go with more money. So we'll wait it out." And they don't want like a Cyberpunk 2077 situation going on. So they're like, "All right, let's delay it." And like I said, it's not that we aren't going to see. We might still see stuff. I don't know what Sony's going to do because they're not officially part of E3. They'll probably have their own thing. I'm not saying that we won't see any type of footage from the game, but I just don't think it's, and they even said it in the statement. It's just not far along enough for them to get it ready, unless they want to rush it and possibly come out with a,
Yeah. Use a
inferior
bunch of
version.
use a bunch of old assets, which I mean, look, they're gonna have to use some of the assets from the previous game. You know what I mean? But like, there's a point. But anyways, moving forward. So there was another story that hasn't really hit. It hasn't really. It's not a big story, but it's tied to this, and that's that the Santa Monica Studios staff was actually dealing with a lot of online harassment because of the delay, like bads, like stuff that I can't read if this is going on
Oh my
YouTube. I
God.
actually cannot read it to you, Dennis. I can
Why?
for the sake of you knowing what I'm talking about, I'm gonna just drop it in the chat so you can read. Just go to the Twitter.
It's just gonna upset me. It's just gonna upset
It's
me.
gonna upset you. It's gonna upset you.
Because I think it's so stupid. I think people
Like,
doing stuff like this is
do
like.
you know Alana Pierce? She's also a reviewer.
Yes, I know.
And yeah, so she got like some pretty bad hate, like from the private DMs and stuff. I'll just link you an article. You can read it yourself. I can't read it because it's like it involves a lot of words that I'm pretty sure we can't say on Google. I mean on YouTube. But yeah, just crazy. So it's so crazy that the creative director Corey Barlog had to actually put out a statement where he was like, "Hey, this was my decision. I made this call. Like, if anybody wants to like spam hate at me. You know what I mean? Not my employees." It's just like a horrible thing to have come out, kind of. You know what I mean? From like the gaming perspective, like who's really crying about this delay so much that they want to go and like harass the freaking employees at Santa Monica Studio.
And I like how I like how they equate Alana Pierce being hired at Santa Monica Studios as, oh, now you get hired and now it's delayed. Like, first of all,
right? They blame her on it. Like, what the hell?
First of all, I don't know much about her. I've seen some of her YouTube videos. I think she's very knowledgeable and she's very intelligent. And, I'm sure if she got hired at Santa Monica Studios, she's very talented as well. But I'm sure her position is not in such a high position that she can affect the game a game of this magnitude.
I mean,
There's no knock on
to
her,
my
but
to
she
my,
doesn't.
to my knowledge, she's a gaming journalist. She's not she doesn't work in the development of it, you know?
Well, I mean,
Like,
she got hired, I think, as like a writer in narrative for
oh,
the
okay, yeah.
studio. So I'm sure she's working on the game or whatever. But what I'm saying is like, her being a part of it has nothing to do with it being delayed. Just like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like I don't know what bothers me: the sexism, the stupidity, the man-childness, the lack of logic and comprehend. I don't know, just
It's like
the
look, it's
entitlement. I think the
one thing for
entitlement always
Yeah.
bothers me the most.
It's one thing for gamers to whine, but dude, like this, you can't. Like this is. I'm pretty sure this is illegal in some states. What was being said here to some people? Like it's. You can't say that. This is horrible things that were said. So that's unfortunate. That is the unfortunate side about this God of War delay, was that the studio got a lot of backlash. A lot of the people were getting hate mail individually online through Twitter.
Why?
Stupid. I'm glad that it seems like most of the people are just brushing it off their shoulders. You know, I'm glad that they're not like that they didn't get affected too badly by it, which is good. You know, I'm glad that they were able to like. It sucks that it happened. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that they're like able to just brush it off as like, haha, internet trolls. But yeah, crazy, man. Like it's one of those things as well where it's like, look, like there's no excuse for this behavior. But if there was, in a hypothetical situation, I would assume like maybe on their 7th delay, you know, this would be like maybe the appropriate measure. You know, not on the like I don't get it. They're such like they're a fairly upfront, nice studio as well. Like they're upfront with what they do. I can't. It's such a stretch.
Also, don't. First of all, I don't even know why. I don't know why it's a surprise to anyone. I don't know why it's a surprise. I've been saying for the longest time it's most likely not coming out this year. And it's not like I have an inside knowledge. It's just you just look at what's happening, what's been released, what's been talked about, what has been shown from other games, and you can see, oh, it doesn't make any sense to come out this year. So, anyways,
considering, I mean, prior to this statement, it was like, okay, I don't think that, this was still in like June, so June had pretty much like started, and we were like, hold up, we're halfway through the year, haven't heard or seen a thing about God of War that's supposed to come out this year. So yeah, safe to assume that unless it was like I said, unless they were planning on like out of nowhere just surprising the whole world with it, like hey, the game's ready, boom, here it is.
Alex,
yeah. Unless they were planning that, then no, it was definitely going to get delayed. And most likely, they haven't said it yet, but most likely there will also be a delay for the next Horizon game. People are calling it now as well because of this.
What do you mean the next one? The one after this or whatever?
No, well, the one coming out, Horizon. I'm blanking on the name, but you know what I mean.
Horizon Forbidden West.
The sequel to Horizon's.
I mean, they said
Horizon Forbidden West.
They're saying that's still on track for this holiday.
Really?
So, yeah. In the same statement,
that would be impressive, yeah.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, we've seen footage from it. It looks like, I mean, we don't know how much of it is done, but it just looks like, okay, here we go. Like, we've seen a lot.
We've seen a lot more of that than God of War, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, like, right now, there's an installed base of 110 million PS4 owners. It's like, okay, that's a lot of money. You're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the install base but for the PS5 is, but I'm sure it's a fraction of that. I want to see what the PS5 installed base right now. And because they're delayed on making the new system for people to buy and it's sold out everywhere. I'm not I typed in install base and they thought I meant installing a base to put the PS5. All right, let me just type user base. Here we go. But yeah, I'm sure it's units. Oh my god.
But yeah, no, it'll either way, yeah, that's I suppose they can't really afford a delay on that. They need an exclusive for the winter release one.
Okay,
summer for me, but you know what I mean.
7.85. This is end of April, so okay, there's probably more now, but not that much more. It's been a month and a half maybe from this article, but 7.8 million. Okay, which is a ton for a new console, but compared to that to 114 like or 110 million, like
It's massive difference.
yeah, you got to sell games. Anyways, so that's it with God of War. Not a big surprise, but delayed to 2022, and it's coming to PS4 as well. And Horizon Forbidden West is still on track for the end of this year. All right, let's move on to this one. This one actually just dropped today. There was a report that Ubisoft is making a PvP game that is based in the Tom Clancy kind of universe that would include Splinter Cell, The Division, and Ghost Recon. So they're kind of going into that world. We don't know if it was, if it's going to be Battle Royale or whatnot. It's going to be, It's interesting.
I mean,
because remember they
I
already
think they're gonna follow. They're probably gonna follow the foundations of Rainbow Six Siege just because of
Mhm.
popularity. So I see it being heavily influenced off of Rainbow
Oh yeah,
Six
it
Siege.
says
just because of
objective
that.
based. Okay, it's objective based PvP,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
is
so like capture
interesting.
points and stuff like that.
Which is interesting because remember they already had that one game that they were making, that Elite Squad. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
what's different about. I mean, that one I guess maybe is going more towards, because that style was kind of more kind of that Fortnite animated style.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think I literally just think that this is gonna be some. I mean, it's not gonna be a spin-off of Rainbow Six Siege, but I just think it's gonna be a heavily influenced Rainbow Six Siege game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because they're saying PvE.
No
I misread
PvP.
that. I misread that. I have it. The article I'm looking at says PvE, military shooter. Are you sure? Are we looking at different articles? Because this one just also dropped today, and it says that they're working on a PvE shooter.
I'm looking at the one from today.
Oh no. Sorry, this is for. Wow, I'm so tired. Forgive me, guys. It's pretty late here. This is the Rainbow Six Extraction
Ah.
is the name. Sorry, so I am talking about Rainbow Six. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I gotta look at that, find that article that you're talking about. Then.
Let me send it to you in the chat right now.
Oh, here it is. I got it. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
Yeah, the Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy.
What I find funny about this is that everyone's clamoring for the next Splinter Cell game, and now we're seeing the Splinter Cell. I'm assuming it's gonna be Sam Fisher character appear in two different, online multiplayer games, but yet not in his own game, single player campaign narrative game, which people have been kind of clamoring
Yeah.
for.
I wonder what like objective-based PvP multiplayer game. Immediately, I just think of things like capture points. You know what I mean? King of the Hill type of situations, or like capture the A point and the B point. Then again, objective-based could also be like a CS:GO, like planting the bomb. But no, because if it was that, then they would probably prefer to say tactile shooter. I'd imagine. I don't know. This kind of leaves it up in the air. Objective-based PvP multiplayer game.
But I do feel like they're gonna kind of go the realistic, like you mentioned, Rainbow Six route versus this kind of cartoony Fortnite Overwatch.
If they go more like the old school I think it would be cool if they go like the more old school Tom Clancy route, and it was like a PvP game, but it was based on like quite a bit of stealth as well. I think that'd be quite fun.
Yeah.
Not too sure how it would play out though competitively.
Yeah.
Because they're always looking for like the next big thing competitively. Everyone's looking for the next big thing competitively because that's money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone's looking for the next Fortnite, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make some dough. I mean, I guess I didn't even see this, but they said Ubisoft had recently announced that they were going to focus less on AAA titles and more into the free-to-play stuff, which I don't know, man. At least
I mean, Hyperscape did not do well. Like everyone's forgotten about that.
I don't know if it's because I'm older or whatever, or just like right now, the games that I like to play are just not those type of games. They can be fun, obviously. I just don't have the time or
Here's the thing, Dennis. I play those type of games, and I have a lot of friends who also play those type of games. And even like the average teenager today only has time for maybe one or two,
Mm-hmm.
of those like type of games because they're gonna take up all the time. They are games that you play all the time. Like I play Valorant all the time. Like if you play Fortnite, you play it all the time. You don't just dabble. If you play
Mm-hmm.
Valorant, you're playing it all the time. You don't dabble. You know what I mean? And most people only have time for one or two of these type of games. So like the more the market gets saturated, the
Yeah.
less even if they come out with like the most amazing game, it's almost too late for you to try to grab that player base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you do come up with something that is entirely different, which it
New.
could
Yeah.
be with if it's objective based, like that kind of puts it up in the air. Like I wouldn't even know, like I said, besides like having capture points, like I think objectives like, but there could be an objective could be anything. They leave it quite vague for that,
Mm-hmm.
so it could be different. I do see them wanting to. I've always thought that they would maybe get into the tactile shooter game eventually, like especially with just I don't know, like the way Rainbow Six Siege was like moving forward. I was thinking eventually they would go the tactile shooter route,
Mm-hmm.
or at least something similar, maybe less tactile, something like something half tactile, I'd say.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. Is there's a report, and the Xbox Game Pass Twitter account was teasing that there's going to be a huge new game. Much like how Outriders was like a big game that came out on Game Pass. They're hinting that something big is coming later this year. Most people are speculating that it probably is Battlefield 6. I mean, we're gonna get that reveal, I think, this week. So I'm sure on this week's episode of the podcast we'll talk about whatever gets revealed for
I don't think it would. I don't think it's
the
gonna be Battlefield 6.
really because they're saying that they're speculating because of the EA Play thing that it's gonna go through that. So
I think because of the EA Play thing, EA would keep it for themselves for EA Play Plus, because EA Play Plus is still separate from EA Play
mm-hmm,
itself,
mm-hmm,
and EA Play Plus is the thing that allows you to play these games on day one or even a week earlier, usually like playing the next
mm-hmm.
Madden a week earlier or things like that. So I see them like I mean it is very plausible. I just don't see why they would do that. Like why would they not just keep, like truly they would make more money if people use EA Play Plus instead of just EA Play.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it would be Battle. I mean, if it is, that's going to be great. That is a big game. Because the thing is, if it's not Battlefield 6, I don't know what else it could be. You know what I mean? It's got to be Battlefield 6. The thing, it's weird because I don't think it is, but it's like I can't think of anything else that it would be.
Yeah,
So
because
it's like
if they're
so
gonna
I guess
tease
it kind of has to be.
well, because if it's teasing a huge game, they're not gonna tease something that we already know is gonna, you know what I mean? Like Halo Infinite, we know is gonna be on there. We know whatever new Bethesda game will be on there. You know what I mean? Like, so those are already foregone conclusions. It has to be something we don't know about, right? Like, as a big surprise, we don't know what are the big third party games coming out later this year. And that's one of them. So
Yeah, I was taking a look on the EA Play app real quick now, but it's not actually helping me out much. Yeah, no clue what it could be because it's also like, look, purely isn't this assumption purely based off of the fact that the Xbox Game Pass tweeted something out,
yes.
and then the dude from the is he with EA or is he with Dice?
Um,
Um,
social
Either
media
way.
manager for Battlefield.
Yeah, the social media manager for Battlefield. He says, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
but maybe he could have just been." I think it could also just be a thing of like maybe he was confused because he was confusing Game Pass and EA Play, which yes, they are. The two are tied together, but
Mm-hmm.
EA Play Plus is still kind of its own separate thing that they're trying to push.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. Like, who knows? Like you said, if it is Battlefield 6, I'll be impressed.
Yeah. I
Because if
mean,
it's Battlefield
you would
6,
still need the
then
ultimate edition of you couldn't do it on regular Game Pass. It'd have to be ultimate edition of Game Pass.
if you have Game Pass for PC, EA Play is tied in.
Oh, okay.
But that's just for that's only the Game Pass for PC. If you're
Mm-hmm.
on console, you do need to have Ultimate, like you said. If
Yeah.
you're on console, if you're on
Well,
PC, it's just automatically included in your Game Pass for PC.
I have ultimate, so I don't have to worry.
So you got all of it. So you still gotta try out the xCloud gaming. Let us know how it works.
Oh God, I need to
Because
try out a lot
it
of stuff.
looks like they got this game. I mean, they advertise it right here. I can't zoom in on this picture. I hate Twitter sometimes. There we go. Yeah, the Wild at Heart is going to be available for cloud.
Okay.
Well, for Honor is also going to be available.
Yeah.
Well, Darkest Dungeon would probably be your best bet to like try to play cloud wise because you can probably just use your finger. You don't need to hook up a controller.
All right, let's move on to this next one. This one I just put in there almost to kind of laugh at it. So the Borderlands movie put out these teaser posters. At first, they just put out Kate Blanchett as Lilith, but then they kind of put these other ones out for like Jack Black as Claptrap and Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis and other Kevin Hart's
And then
role,
all
but
of them together.
yeah,
There's like one of all of them together. Yeah.
but the thing is, it's not like you're actually seeing them. It's just shadows or
It's
silhouettes.
just silhouettes. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's like it almost. Oh, it's not. I was gonna say it because I'm looking at the different ones. It almost looks like they were all the same silhouettes, just photoshopped together, but they are different silhouettes. I love how they tagged. I mean, yeah, I love how Claptrap is there. It was nice that they put Claptrap in, even though he's
like a
little
show me a
robot. Yeah.
silhouette of someone that whoever's voicing it has nothing. You know what I mean? Like that could be anybody.
Like these could be the stunt doubles for all we know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we got no clue. They could be mannequins.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's exciting stuff to know that they are working on it.
Yes.
It does look from the silhouette. The Psycho does look quite good. Who the fuck is the girl with the bunny ears? Am I that? Look, I'll admit there's a few Borderlands I never finished, but I don't know anybody with bunny ears. So that's thrown me for a bit of a loop.
Bunny is Tiny Tina.
Oh, I do know Tiny Tina. She was a DLC, I believe, in like Borderlands 2, I think, as well. Yeah. Interesting. I don't remember her. I don't remember her having bunny ears though, but yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just thought that was funny. I mean, yeah, it's cool teaser, but like when they put like Kate Blanchett, see a preview of Kate Blanchett as Lilith, I was like, oh, cool. Let me look what she looks like. And I'm like, oh, I see a silhouette.
Oh, that's it.
That, and that, like you mentioned, it could be anyone, could be drawn for all you know. I mean, this literally could be like drawn in Photoshop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like I don't know. Anyway, so
speaking of, not that it really relates too much, but while we were at it, I quickly took a look at the teaser for Shazam 2, and they changed the costume.
yeah,
Just made it better. It looks cooler.
Yeah. All right. Next one, CD Projects Q1 2021 net profits are down because fixing Cyberpunk 2077 cost them some money and time and resources that they weren't expecting, to do. So they're said fell by 65%, which is quite a bit. But there was some more stuff, right? Something. Do you have more details about that? The leak, the information.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to read up on it now because it's quite It's interesting how it came out because this is from the hack that happened back in February that we covered, and it seems like they've actually started leaking some of the one of the things that's leaked is just an internally made montage of bugs, which means it was like there's a video of a montage of bugs that was literally made by somebody at CD Projekt Red, which is interesting. I guess it's obviously one of those things where it's like, hey, these are the bugs we've got to focus on. Here's a montage of it.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, but let's see here. There's more to it. Reset Era, that was the group, I think. Oh, let's see. What appear to be montages of pre-release Cyberpunk 2077 bugs can now be found on the internet. I suppose that's mainly it. The montages seen by IGN are set to license music and seem to spoof high production value trailers, with many interesting bugs on display. V rides a hot dog motorcycle. Okay, so I think what they're like aiming at is the fact that it seems like Cyberpunk or like CD Projekt Red most definitely knew about most of these bugs before the game came out.
I mean, that's the thing, even in my small, short experience of working in game development, like, yeah, it's just when you launch,
Apparently,
you
and
know it's
there
not
was
going to
a
be
third
bug
person
free.
build of the game. They found that there was apparently a third person build of the game
Mm-hmm.
at one point, which I guess because back when they first announced the game years ago, they did say that they were still like playing like with the
Deciding.
idea of being
Yeah.
first person or third person, so that makes sense. Um, the footage, which has now been pulled down, has begun springing up on multiple platforms, shows protagonist V walking around an apartment and talking to NPCs, all with an over-the-shoulder camera. Okay. Oh yeah. So just mainly just like third. Like seems like there's a lot of footage that's released that they about the third person build.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Nothing really too interesting, but it's like it seems more desperate to me. Like of the people trying to get some money. You know what I mean? Like they're like, we're gonna start leaking stuff. CD Projekt Red, pay us. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. But yeah, I feel bad for the company, man. Considering me and you had a freaking amazing time playing the game. I feel really bad for them. Like I just do. Uh, but I may have read. I don't know where I read this, but they're still working on the multiplayer. For CD Projekt, for Cyberpunk 2077, they're still working on the multiplayer supposedly. I have no idea what to. I
Well,
wouldn't even know what to do in that game multiplayer. You know,
yeah,
like
didn't they release a timeline update and people were not very
yeah,
happy?
they basically just moved the timeline that they were supposed to have been done with by now. They basically just moved it up. They just moved their deadlines up. That's pretty much what it looks like to me. Like we're not going to get DLC anytime soon. We were supposed to have technically been getting free DLC roundabout now,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not going to happen. I think the free DLC that's moving forward might be multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still just wouldn't know. Like I said, from having played the game, all bugs taken aside, I wouldn't really know what to expect multiplayer wise. Like I guess kind of like like the cyber junkies that you fought in the game or whatever they were called. Like do you remember those? They were like too many like they had too many cyber implants and they like freak out and you got to go hunt them down. There's like a bunch of them. Dennis, you know what I'm talking about?
Kind of. Played it
Yeah,
in a while.
they were like anyways, but like I feel like those missions would be maybe what the combat will be like because in
Mm-hmm.
those missions those are the only like times in the game you were playing against other people who do the same abilities as you. Like you would have to fight against people who are hiding behind it like a bus and actually hacking you manually and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like the gameplay was quite fun, but like in a 1v1 setting, sure, but I literally cannot see that gameplay working in more than a 1v1 setting. It would be too chaotic. Multiple people
Mm-hmm.
hacking each other and I don't know. If they're just gonna do races and stuff, that could be interesting too, but the car mechanics aren't for that. Um, anyway, speculation because we don't really know what the hell is happening with that company or when we're gonna see anything about it. Um, but yeah, I'm still looking forward to the multiplayer, whatever that would be.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
the roadmap just got pushed back, and people are upset and whatnot. And it's one of those things where like I said, it's not like they're making any profit off of getting these free DLCs or fixing patches. It's all PR. It's all
yeah,
goodwill for your customer base because some people are upset or about you know the quality of whatever game that version that they had. Like you mentioned, you and me, and or fortunately for us, we didn't really run into those big problems. So our experience and our kind of attitude towards the game and the company itself aren't as harsh as other people,
yeah.
which I can understand if that happened. Like if I bought a PS, you know, 4 version, it was like unplayable. That's like, that's
And
a
my PS4 would just blue screen all the time, I'd be upset. Yeah, especially if I just paid full price for the game. I mean, like I said, I knew it wouldn't have worked on a like 7, 8 year old piece of machinery,
mm-hmm.
but they didn't advertise it that way.
Yeah.
That was where they screwed up. I guess they made promises that they couldn't keep, and it sucks because looking at the stats, they haven't been doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Like the crash rate has been like it's like the people are still having problems. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're here like I don't know how long it's been since the release of this game. It's been a while, but
It's
we're here now and
been
it's still
six,
just
seven
crashing.
months. Yeah, about 6 months, I think. fix some
But
of
then
those.
again, like I suppose like at the end of the day, like what's happening to CD Projekt Red sucks, but at least it's not whatever happened to freaking Marvel, dude. It's been a year and that game is barren and boring. And all the player base is gone, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
That's bad. Like that talk about people giving up on like a game,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's yeah, it's real bad. But yeah, dude, this sucks. I hope like the thing is that what's sad is that one day there's going to be a point in time where there is a stable PS4 version, and I hope that people will actually be able to play the game without like a bad taste in their mouth, you know?
Hmm.
Because if you can play this game without any glitches, without a bad taste in your mouth, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Personally, I really believe that.
Yeah. All right. Next thing out, Valorant is coming to mobile. I know you're a
Mm,
big Valorant player. What do you think about
yeah.
this move?
We data miners found this a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think when the game came out, like that season, that first like two months of the game being out, 2 or 3 months of the game being out, we saw like people data mined, and it seemed like there were some mobile packs that they were playing around with.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they were from the very beginning had full intent to go mobile as well. Like this wasn't a, it's not an idea they had after the success of the game. It was an idea that they had with the game coming out in the first place. And usually I would be on the fence about this kind of stuff, and I'd be like, you know what? No, this is a horrible idea. I think it's gonna suck. But this is Riot, and they just recently released League of Legends Wild Rift, which is the mobile version of League of Legends on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it is really good. Like I don't praise mobile games, but it is a really good MOBA for your game. Like if you like to play MOBAs, if you're into League of Legends or Dota, games like that, and you want to play one on your phone that's decent. Like I've tried a couple other ones that are good, like Legends is pretty okay, but I really enjoy Wild Rift. And it basically like teaches you it like I don't want to use the word groom, but it grooms you into playing League of Legends properly,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better word, you know, because it teaches you all the moves and stuff like that. So I think that Valorant Mobile will be the same way that Wild Rift was successful. I think that this will not only be successful but also different. Like you're not going to get that high level competitive gaming that you do. Look, it's a tactical shooter. You're not going to get that high level like combat on a cell phone. You're not going to have like people doing flick shots and like supreme accuracy, things like that. But I do think it's going to be getting a lot more people into the game, which I love. Like the player base needs to grow. Anything that can, I think it's going to grow the player base at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. You know, will they make money from it? Probably. Look, like the game has cosmetics that you can buy that are ridiculously overpriced, but that's because their only competitor is CS:GO, and their skins are also ridiculously overpriced. So you're spending like $30 on like a knife, for instance. You know what I mean? It's stupid. Um, but they don't change the game. So I think they'll make their money with it. And I think that if anything, this is going to get kids to be like, oh, I like this
Mm-hmm.
game. And then eventually, when they get a bit older, they'll move to the PC version. You know? But I think it'll be fun. It's just not going to be competitive. Like anybody expecting it to be competitive is in for a bad time. There's no possible way. It's going to be. I can already tell it's going to be a lot of people just camping because it's not like movement. It's going to be difficult for you to like move and look around a lot, you know. But Valorant's the kind of game where you want to hold an angle. You want to choose your angles and you want to hold it and you just want to pick off. You know, you want to play the game kind of slow and just click on people's heads. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. You don't want to spray. You don't want to. If you move while shooting, your spray is insane. You're basically like I could stand in front of you, Dennis. Like I could stand a meter away from you in the game, spray an AK-47 at you essentially, and miss all my bullets if I'm moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wouldn't matter. That's how bad the accuracy is. So it's interesting moving forward. I think it's going to be good for the community though. Um, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Like I think if they're smart, they'll water it down. They'll like give less abilities. I think if they're smart.
Yeah. I mean, people are saying, is it going to be a one for one, like kind of port, or are they going to build it from the ground up to make it work with mobile? I mean, the thing is the game already when they first started out, they purposely kind of made the graphics, more less resource intensive for
Yeah.
performance issue, so that makes it easier to transfer over to mobile.
And more computers can play it. You can
Yeah,
play it on laptops, like any PC. They
yeah,
wanted anybody to be able to install it.
yeah. All right.
But real quick before we move forward, just relating back to the Wild Rift game, because the League of Legends mobile game, if we take that into consideration, they did they didn't do like a 1-to-1 port. They did like almost like a 0.75 to 1 port. Like they put in almost all the elements and there's like one or two things left out. I think they're going to do the same to Valorant, which will be smart. Like most likely they'll minimize the amount of flashes or the amount of smoke some players can do. They may even streamline some things where it's like instead of having to get 6 kills to use your ult, maybe 3. I can see that. Yeah, one thing's for certain, it's definitely not going to be crossplay. I know some people were like, "Oh, can I play with PC players?" No, that's a stupid idea.
You're
The
getting your
mobile
ass
players will get
whooped.
spanked.
You get your
Yeah,
ass whooped.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my take on it.
Cool. All right, this one is I thought also upset me. I don't think it doesn't upset me as much as the people screaming and yelling about the delay of God of War. Um,
Yeah,
but also kind of upsetting as well, especially if it's true, because sometimes with these auctions and bids, sometimes people just do it as a joke and then it never actually gets paid. But supposedly, an Among Us shaped chicken nugget sold for nearly $100,000. It got
yeah,
184 bids on eBay. I don't know if this is one of those things where are any of these true? You know how like every few months there's always like
right.
a bid on a ridiculous thing. If
I gotta fact check it. Is it real?
like I don't, this like supposedly it came from a BTS combo meal, and they will deliver it frozen and air sealed to ensure freshness. To someone like, yeah, $100,000. Sorry, for $100,000, I will go learn how to make one shaped like Among Us and send it to you. You know what I mean? Like
Right?
it's just ridiculous. First, one, why would you spend money on something like this? It makes no
Yeah,
sense whatsoever. I would just assume that these are fake, right? I mean, there's no one that stupid, or maybe.
yeah. I can't find anybody disputing it. I'm like looking. I'm fact checking it, and it seems like no one said it's fake. It seems like it's real. Here's the thing. First of all, gotta appreciate the hustle. I don't know if it was you or I can't remember. Somebody told me, said this sentence to me, and it makes sense, which is that a normal person will just look at it and be like, "Ah, cool. Take a photo and then
Yes.
eat it." You know,
Yeah.
that's what a normal person would do.
Yeah.
But this person was like, "Money, nah." I mean, look, they when you put something up for auction, I'm sure this guy was expecting to make maybe $5 or $10 as a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
his money back on his chicken nuggets. Go get some more chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
I highly doubt this guy was expecting to sell it for $100,000. Like, if anything, he landed with his ass in the honey. He knows it. Um,
I don't
Good
blame
for him. Like,
him. I
good for
don't
them.
blame him.
Yeah,
I blame the person buying it,
I
or the people
appreciate the
bidding
hustle.
on it.
Oh yeah, the person who paid for it is a complete dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can justify paying for that ever.
No.
Like, it is probably decay by the time it gets to you. Well,
Even
then
if
actually,
it's
it's McDonald's.
fresh,
It's McDonald's. It probably won't.
even if it was a truck full of fresh nuggets shaped like Among Us, you are still wasting your money.
In certain states, that is a house. That's not. I was gonna say it's a down payment on a
No,
house,
no,
but
certain
in certain
places the
states,
house.
that's just a house. Yeah, it's straight up a home in certain states.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, crazy. It's
So
one of like it actually, do you know what this makes me think of, Dennis? NFTs.
yeah,
You're an idiot if you bought NFTs. If you sold them, good for you. You're smart. But if you bought them, you're stupid. Like, oh man.
yeah,
My friend was complaining to me that the NFT market crashed, and I was like, it's in the name, non-fungible token. What did you think? It's literally non-fungible. Oh, anyways. But
yeah,
yeah, so that happened. That was interesting.
yeah.
I've got a couple bit more news here if you wanna
Sure, yeah, yeah,
me to sprinkle them in,
yeah, yeah.
sprinkle them in for you. This one I'm actually really excited about because I've never ever been able to play these games, and I've watched like since I was a kid I would watch like YouTube playthroughs of other people playing them, and like watch the movies through cutscenes on YouTube because I just didn't have like a Wii, and I also had no want for a Wii, besides this game, I guess, and a couple other like interesting games where they included sword mechanics into using the Nintendo Wii. But No More Heroes 1 and 2 is coming to PC this week.
Mm-hmm.
And that game like has only ever been on the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo Switch more recently. Because it does use motion controls. Curious as to how the hell it's going to work on PC. But I'm happy it's finally coming to PC. And I'd imagine it's probably not going to be that expensive because it's a really old game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got a 10% discount. It's going to be discounted at 10% on Steam on June the 9th. Yeah, that's just good news. I'm excited for that. So also for anybody who is a fan of the series, it's now coming out on PC. You guys get to play that. This is news that I know that doesn't really. This next bit of news is something I know that doesn't really interest you or me, but I do think that the capabilities are going to be quite interesting, which is the fact that the Ratchet and Clank game is going to have 60 FPS ray tracing on launch. I'm assuming at 4K. I'm assuming, because why else be bragging about it? You know what I mean? Because that was the whole point of it, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, they're doing 60 FPS with ray tracing. It looks great. I don't particularly care because it's one of those games where like I love the Ratchet and Clank series, but it could literally look like a bunch of polygons. I don't care. Like the game's fun, The game doesn't have to look pretty. It's not one of those games where it needs to look pretty, It just needs to be fun. It's like Crash Bandicoot. Like if you can put ray tracing in Crash Bandicoot and I don't care. It's just Crash Bandicoot, But yeah, still impressive, regardless. Playdate announced new price presentation next week with game updates and pre-order details. What was this again? Oh yeah, this is interesting because I've never heard of this. This is like a new handheld console. It looks like it might be a retro console. It's called Playdate, which sounds like an event. The weirdest handheld gaming system is coming in 2020, which, well, it's 2021 now, so obviously, yeah, there was a delay supposedly, so it was supposed to come out last year, but yeah. Let's see, it's retailing at $179, which, considering what it looks like in the side, it just looks like a slightly thicker floppy disk with a couple buttons on it. I'll link it to you real quick because I don't know where this came from, but it seemed interesting. Like I'm always down to talk about new consoles or devices or whatever. But yeah, they're doing an update on June 8th. So June 8th. So we're gonna find out what happens to this gadget, whatever it is. I wonder what it's gonna be. Like I wonder what it does even. It's got 4 gigs of internal storage. Like so it's got to be a retro gaming thing. Then it's got to be.
That's a lot for a retro gaming device.
I know, but I mean, it's nothing for modern day gaming,
No,
So
no, of course.
Maybe not like retro, but like maybe like 90s retro. You know what I mean? Like NES days or N64 days.
Even then,
No, no, it can't be. There's only 2 buttons. There's only 2 buttons and a D-pad, so it's got to be like Game Boy games or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, only NES and Game Boy were that
2 buttons and a D-pad. Yeah. Which is like why you'd really still don't need 4 gigs then, Also, that's a hefty price, $180 for a retro handheld gaming device when you can literally just run an emulator on your phone. I don't know. So we'll see. There seems to be a bit of hype around it. I don't get it. Maybe we'll get the hype on June 8th when we see more information about it. I'm sure you've heard of this news because this was just wild. Injustice 2, the mobile game, had to put out a statement and apologize to the LGBTQ community for promoting an in-game event where it was like, hey, look, we have LGBTQ characters in our game. Go beat them up this week for a challenge. Like they didn't think it out, did they, Dennis?
No.
They really didn't think it out.
No,
so they had to put out a statement. Here's the tweet. We recognize associating our latest global challenge with pride was insensitive and inappropriate. Real-life violence against the LGBTQIA plus community and women within that community in particular is all too common, and we should actively engage in efforts to end LGBTQIA plus violence, not normalize it. We apologize to the greater community. It's look, like I get like what an absolute blind thing to do, where it was like they were just trying to appeal to like every other like mass conglomerate company. Like they just slapped the gay
Yeah.
pride flag on this time of year, and it's like I don't know, like I'm like it's weird. I'm pansexual,
Mhm.
so moving into this, if we're going to be talking about this line of stuff, but it's just like how tone deaf, man. Like how like I they're trying to like engage with the youth. They're trying to engage with the LGBTQ, and they're like, hey guys, I'm pretty sure it was Poison Ivy. Like I can't look into the details, but I'm assuming it was Poison Ivy. They were most likely like, look at this LGBTQ character, and she's female. So not only did they encourage going to go beat up a woman, which I mean, yes, it's a game where people are beating. It is a beating up game, but like they just didn't word it very well. You
No.
know, they didn't
No.
think it through very well. I'm sure someone there is face palming so hard right now. Let's see. Oh, a couple things leaked ahead of E3. I don't know if you saw this. This is from 2K Interactive. Um, a Borderlands spin-off and Marvel game
Hmm.
from 2K Interactive, which is quite interesting. Yeah. Um, let's see here. A new game. It's going to be turn-based, and it's going to be using Marvel characters. Oh, I think we heard about this leak recently, but yeah. So they're working on like most likely a turn-based Marvel game, which I'm not too excited for. I love turn-based games, but like usually in fantasy settings, you know, not
Mhm.
like superhero sci-fi kind of stuff. I don't like turn-based games based in sci-fi realms, like even the XCOM series, which is kind of like turn-based slash strategy, if you will. Um, and yeah, they're working on something called Codename Vault, an action game that seems to be really in early development, and it's described as Cthulhu meets Saints Row. So I'm guessing it's like a Lovecraftian
Mhm.
GTA. Is it like a Lovecraftian GTA they're working on? Not too sure. Oh, and then yeah, they're doing a spin-off. Immersive Core releases, two of which from new. Yeah, one of those new franchises is being made by Gearbox, though a Tiny Tina spin-off probably wouldn't count. Um, I don't know, like interesting. So yeah, they might be doing a Tiny Tina spin-off. Yeah, I'm curious to see. Look, we're going to see more about this at E3 anyways. I'm curious to see what the Borderlands spin-off is going to be, and who knows, maybe I eat my words and the Marvel turn-based game turns out to be good. I do like turn-based games. They have to be
Mhm.
done well though, you know? So who knows, maybe I get pleasantly surprised by that. PSVR announcements. Um, these were, let's see, these are also coming up soon. Sniper Elite VR is coming out tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Sniper Elite VR coming out tomorrow. Let's see. They basically just a couple of announcements and things that they spoke about, like Wanderer. I haven't heard about Arashi Castles of Sin. I think we spoke about that before. Um, Puzzle Bubble 3D, Fract, Wind and Leaves, After the Fall. I haven't heard of any of these games, but for people who are interested in PSVR, if you have a PSVR, I know there aren't like a lot of you out there, but if you have a PSVR, take a look. There's a couple of PSVR games coming out soon, and there's a couple things that they've announced about that. Um, and in this, I suppose, well, we spoke probably would have been better to talk about earlier, but we got the differences between the PS4 version and the PS5 version of Horizon Forbidden West.
Mhm.
And like for the most part, it's like things that you're gonna assume. You know what I mean?
What, like 4K versus
Um,
1080?
yeah.
Well, I
The
guess
PS5 version supports 60 frames per second performance mode. Um, Well, it seems like the PS5 is gonna have a lot of games like that, where it's gonna be like similar as the Miles Morales thing, where it's like you got to choose high fidelity or like
yeah,
do you
yeah.
want the graphics or do you want frames, you know? But yeah, they're doing a 60 frames per second performance mode. It's unclear what sacrifices will be made to achieve that 60 FPS. Based on Sony's other games, it's likely to be a reduced resolution, and so most likely it won't be 60 FPS 4K,
Mhm.
which is sad because like that's like what that's like I guess the
Isn't
main
that what
selling
was?
point of the PS5,
Yeah, isn't that
you
what was
know?
promised for the next gen consoles? Like the whole
Like
reason
the
you were
whole
gonna
reason is so
upgrade.
we play 4K at 60 FPS, you know?
Yeah, because
Which
otherwise,
like Well, that was Miles Morales as well, if I recall. It was you could play the game at 4K 30 FPS, or you could play it at like half that
1080
at 60 FPS.
or
Yeah, I think it was
1440 or something like that.
yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Um, Look, I mean, nobody complained about it because it was the first like game you got to play on the PS5. But if moving forward games are going to be like that, then it's like why? Why tell us that the game? Why tell us the console can do 4K at
Well,
60
why
FPS?
why are you
You know?
upgrading to a new console if it's not
Yeah, why exactly?
significantly
Yeah,
more powerful than what you were playing before? So
yeah. Apparently, they used a special cinematic lighting rig that's just for the PS4, just for the cutscenes for the PS4. Um, I suppose most likely because they're simulating light. I suppose better in the PS5 version. Um, yeah, it's interesting. But then again, look, once again, I suppose it's also like truly maybe the hardware can actually run at that. It's more about the studios needing to like optimize properly in the future because they haven't had much time to really work on. Like, look, the most usually when we see a masterpiece on a generation for a console, it's usually right at the end of the cycle, you know.
yeah.
So I think we're only going to start seeing like 4K, like good. Like, look, we're probably going to get a bunch of 4K 60 FPS games, but they're not going to be. They're not going to be AAA games. I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe in like a couple years from now, we'll finally have them optimized to be working at 4K 60 FPS. You know, we'll find ways around that. They always do. You know, they always find like loopholes and like shortcuts that end up saving time and doing better in the future.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I mean, the beginning of a console generation, the gap between the best of the last generation and the beginning of the new generation isn't that big. It isn't until later on. Because yeah, I remember because I was kind of late on the Witcher 3 thing, and you know, like when I played Witcher 3, I was like, oh wow, the graphics compared to what's going on the same consoles look almost night and day. You know what I mean? Like playing something like Last of Us Part 2 or, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, and then playing Witcher 3, like it's just like, oh wow, this almost looks like a different console generation. But it's not.
It is good though because they have said moving forward that like the majority of their testing has been happening on the PS4. So it seems as though they're also very well aware of what happened with Cyberpunk, and they're going to make sure that it works very well on both consoles. It'll obviously look different, but they're making sure that it runs smoothly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's good. And then this is the last bit of news I have, which is just the E3 schedule, like the lineup / schedule. It's happening soon. I mean, we'll definitely be covering it. Yeah, June 12th. So we possibly, depending on how it goes, I don't know. We could do our podcast a day later if you want to cover it. But we can talk about that during the week. Yeah. But yeah, let's see real quick. Moving forward, so yeah, it's going to be starting on Saturday, June 12th. Pre-show at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's going to go. There's usually the pre-show, and then they'll start at about 12 p.m. Pacific. So the pre-show is going to be about 2 hours. They start off with the Ubisoft Forward conference. Some news from Gearbox as well. Let's see, on Sunday, June 13th, the pre-show starts at 8:45 a.m. Pacific, so a lot earlier. Ahead of Microsoft, and then Microsoft and Bethesda are doing a joint showcase at 10 a.m. Pacific the next day. Yeah,
yeah. There was
those are the major ones that you're gonna want to be looking out for. You know.
Yeah. I'm just
waiting
special
for presentation from Square Enix as well.
We're all waiting for the surprise game. We know they're going to talk about like at the Microsoft Bethesda one. We know they're going to talk about Halo Infinite and Starfield, but we're kind of like crossing our fingers. Are they going to announce something for or show anything for Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls game? Will there be any new Fallout stuff? You know what I mean? Everyone knows like the certain ones that they're going to hit, and then I mean, Starfield will be cool because we haven't really gotten too much on that, so it'll be nice.
Yeah, most likely, I think we'll see some stuff about Starfield. You know what is gonna like I'm calling it already. It's gonna upset me. They're gonna show us a little cinematic. That's it. We're not gonna see anything in game. I'm calling it right now. We're not gonna see a single thing in game.
I'm gonna bet against you.
It's gonna be cinematic.
I'm gonna bet against you. I say we're gonna say gameplay.
You see gameplay?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If we get in-game cinematic, then we both lose.
Yeah.
We
I
both lose the bet.
think we're gonna get
It's an
gameplay.
in-game cinematic. I would love it, man. I would love for you to be right. Like truly, I would love that. I would love nothing more. Like Bethesda didn't like screw me over with Fallout 76, and I know you have had a positive experience going back. But I need a win from Bethesda in my heart. I need a win from them, Dennis. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we'll see how that goes because E3 is obviously going to be going from Saturday all the way up till Tuesday. It seems like the bulk of like the bigger stuff is going to be coming on a Saturday and Sunday in terms of news. But yeah, that's it from me.
Cool. Yeah. All right. I guess that's the end of our episode this week, and we should be coming back since we shot this one a little late, so we should be back up pretty much sooner. See what drops. I think by the time we shoot next, the Battlefield stuff should be revealed.
Yeah.
By that time, and then hopefully we'll get some more information about some other upcoming stuff. So, anyways, make sure you can follow me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. Also, you can find us on Anchor for the podcast. Well, we'll have links both on the podcast and the YouTube video if you want to check that out. And Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on TikTok at josh.toki, and you guys can find me on Instagram at josh_toki, and you guys can find me on Twitch at josh.toki.
Yeah, and then join our Discord. And if you play VR games, check out our basketball VR game called Pickup Basketball VR. It's on Steam, early access. We're working on a Quest version as well. We have a Discord for that as well. So check all that good stuff out. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
See you later.